Kick the goddamn music right now.
Oh shit! Oh, no. Oh my god! Woo! What a day to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. What a day to be alive.
All right, look, gentlemen, we got a huge show. We have a lot to talk about. I'm trying to like bring it down a notch, all right? Because ever since we got the news, everything is everything. Like you just every piece of news that we got today, every update, every we looked at the license locations, we looked at the amount of money spent. We got the whole
Wait,
shebang laid out
Steve,
today.
before we begin, I just want to say one thing. Okay?
Pick the music, Moose.
Yeah.
Today is a good day. Today is a good day. Today is an amazing day.
We got Alex, we got Kazi, we got Baby Yoda. Appreciate you guys for coming through tonight. We got Ed, PA Tech is in the house. Vivian is here. Yeah, this is going to be a big time show. This is major. All right. A lot can be said about spectrum auctions. I know it's nerdy, and I know a lot of people may not really understand the technical side of networking, but here's the basic premise. This is what I look at when a carrier has adequate spectrum holdings. They got the licenses. They can essentially build a good network because they have the bullets to do it, right? So something that is on T-Mobile's side has always been the fact that post-merger, they have a ton of mid-band. Every mid-band auction that successfully completes, every carrier has improved its spectrum position. So we've watched AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile bolster their mid-band holdings. This is 5G Goldilocks spectrum. All right, all this 3 gigahertz stuff is fantastic. And today we found out what each of the carriers got, where they got it. And then now we can kind of talk about the direction of their network. We can talk about the radio gear that's going to go up. We can talk about the capacity it's going to create. We're going to talk about fixed wireless access. We're going to talk about mobility. All right, we're going to talk about competition. We're going to actually talk about Dish, damn it. All right, we can actually do that, right? They're in the fold. All right, they stand on the sidelines. They do everything except, their promises, and here they are getting more spectrum, which at the very least indicates that they are alive and involved in the industry. So here we are. Okay, so what we're going to start with first, I think we addressed the elephant in the room. AT&T 40 megahertz national. We called it. I think, Tyrone, you were on board with this. Moose and Zero Cool, myself, we thought AT&T was going 40 megahertz national. Anybody surprised?
Nope.
Nope.
Not in the slightest.
Now, Moose, talk to me about the 40 megahertz national for AT&T.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh, God.
Okay, so I'll pivot. Tyrone, 40 megahertz national for AT&T.
So this was from a on paper standpoint, this was important for AT&T to be in the conversation that, they closed the spectrum gap. They know they needed it for perception reasons, and they did it. Top 100 PEAs, they got 40 megahertz. They got it national. Big deal for AT&T. They split the spending, so they didn't go all out on C-band. So they kind of reserved some of that money for the DoD. They ended up coming out ahead with some cost savings, and nobody really challenged them in this auction. I mean, Verizon could have potentially made Dish spend more and AT&T. They didn't, and T-Mobile kind of spent conservatively. They didn't really go all out. They didn't necessarily spend smartly because they did spend the most megahertz per pop, but I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, this was big for AT&T, and we'll see what they do this year. It's gonna be big. There's already been reports of that Nokia equipment for DoD being deployed in New York City from AT&T. So they're kind of ahead of schedule, and they're gonna have a fast deployment this year.
All right, Zero Cool, 40 megahertz national for AT&T. Go.
Oh man, this is huge. This is great. So this is what I kind of want to talk about. Like, AT&T is, in my opinion, now the mid-band leader, right? So let me explain why. First of all, I want to just give a horrible shout out to Verizon. You're dumb. You're so dumb. Dumb. Like what? It's like I mean, did Hans like lose his croc skin leather shoes that auction or something, or what? What are they thinking? Okay,
Yeah,
so
maybe.
yeah, this is. I'll tell you why. So yeah, 40 megahertz. That's perfect, right? So so what we're seeing already in the industry is what we call um, multi-band radios. So those the people that don't know what a multi-band radio is. So on a tower, you used to have a single radio antenna for like AWS, a single radio antenna for PCS, and so on, right? So what a multi-band radio does is it's going to combine, like for example, a mid-band frequencies such as PCS and AWS all on one 5G MIMO radio. Okay, so use that as an example, right? So, but with AT&T's spectrum holdings that they currently now have. So basically, in the future, you're gonna have this. You're gonna have one low band radio. You will have one mid band radio, and then you have a millimeter wave radio because those are multi-band radios. Okay, so basically, and in the near future, we're gonna have another auction, maybe an auction of 3.1. Okay, and also a 4. Supposedly maybe a 4.9 auction, right? So if you think about it, this is why AT&T is now, in my opinion, the low band and mid band spectrum king, even beating out T-Mobile, because on one mid band radio, you're going to have PCS, you're going to have AWS, you're going to have 2.3, okay, the WCS spectrum. You're going to have, supposedly, if they bid on the 3.1 coming up soon, you're going to have the recently won 3.45, 40 megahertz of that. You're going to have the CBRS, okay, that's going to be turned up to high power. And then you'll have the C band, okay, that they just recently won as well. That is 7 KRAG, okay, just on one massive MIMO on FDD, 5G multi-band radio, right? So it's extremely important. And to be honest with you, if they bid in the 3.1 auction, they're going to own the whole almost 3 gigahertz band. Like that's all them, right? So, and that's extremely important for uplink. Like this is so important for on the uplink, what they're able to do with these mid-band spectrum holdings. And the reason why I say this is you just can't do uplink. If you have like a bunch of spectrum, let's say T-Mobile, for example, like 80, 100 megahertz, let's say if it was on FDD, it will be soon. Depending on the range of where you're at, from the UE going to the tower, you need different frequencies to support uplink, because when you travel, up and down, along the highways and stuff like that, your phone has to negotiate the frequencies. That's how it works, okay?
Yep.
So it's extremely important to have different subsets and different sets of frequencies when you're going, when you're traveling. And like I said, the spectrum winner is AT&T. They're going to have, they have the most mid band, right?
Okay, so
and that's extremely important because all your calls are going to go through that for voice over NR. So, well, yeah.
So here's where I think we're at. AT&T's move today in terms of how much spectrum they got. They had a Spectrum Auction 110 like Verizon had Spectrum Auction 107. Like that's how impactful these auctions were for these two companies, right? So this was huge for AT&T, like C-band was like 3.7 was huge for Verizon. All right? And I feel like maybe T-Mobile kind of did the same thing this auction as they did in the last auction, right? So in my estimation, I think AT&T did what they had to do. I think they did the right thing. I think it was really the only thing for them to do. If AT&T would have did anything else, we would be looking at it as a failure. They had to come in and get 40 megahertz national. They needed 40 megahertz national, or else they look like they don't have enough spectrum. Like, I know they're not really doing fixed wireless access, right? It's not a big part of what they're going to be doing. But this mid-band in the 3 gigahertz range is so crucial for that range propagation capacity combo. You just can't let it pass by in their position.
Right, that's exactly right. So actually, when I was, after I was reading the articles, and how much they won and the number of licenses that they won, I was actually doing the math and the theoreticals as far as the downlink speeds. And what I just talked about, if they have one mid-band radio, they carry all that 7 carrier, with those frequencies, their theoretical throughput is 3 gigabytes.
Which you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, because that would, 7 carrier aggregation on a SA core. I mean,
just on one mid-band radio. That's what I'm talking about. That's what
okay.
you're gonna have.
Okay, so you're saying just general available capacity on mid-band frequencies. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's not including low band. That's
right,
not including
exactly.
low band. Yeah.
Yeah, they're band 14, they're band 12, they're band 29, that whole thing.
Yeah. So you have a 3 gigabyte throughput, which is amazing.
Okay. Well, I don't, Moose, are you back, or I don't.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe not. Okay. Now that we've talked about AT&T, we feel they did what they had to do. I kind of want to look at the next company, which I think is the second biggest winner.
Yep.
Dish. Okay. Since we started with Tyrone before, we'll just kind of come back around to it. So Tyrone, we got what, 30, 40 megahertz national for Dish? Some combination of that, kind of market dependent. I did not expect to see this. I thought it was going to be like how they did the CBRS thing. I thought that was a possibility. I thought maybe 20 megahertz national, because they had to. We know what's at stake with the AWS situation with the FCC, the whole Charlie Ergen discount, with that program, and he's probably going to lose that spectrum. He's probably going to have to eat that $3 billion fine. He needed spectrum just from a position of competing with any type of mid-band capacity. So, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that he came in 30, 40 national, man. What say you? Tyrone? No? Okay. Moose, you there? Okay, let's try Zero Cool. Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, this is I'm glad that Dish won that spectrum, primarily in part because of the network agreement they have with AT&T. All right, so this would be good for both customers. Okay, that's great. As far as the AWS debacle that they have in court, I think this is the only poker hand that Charlie has lost, or maybe lose. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound pessimistic, but you can't. The FCC is who they are. You can't subvert them. You can't, when I have like 7, licenses from them, right? You can't cheat the system, right? I hope I'd like to see this spectrum, if they do lose it, put to better use. I'd like to see it bidded on, and hopefully, if it does, go up for auction, I hope AT&T wins it all. And then, if that happens, that's just another carrier aggregation that could add to their mid-band radio.
So the situation with Dish,
right,
is. Did we get our guy back? Moose, you back in?
Yeah, sorry, I was at a FedEx location. But can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Massive day, 40 megahertz. Overall 80 megahertz for 2022. And then this AWS situation, it just adds on to the wins, man. With the Dish situation, they're swindled the government. I completely agree with Zero Cool. That was a very interesting situation, how he was playing poker, and this hand did not go well.
Yeah, the thing about Charlie Ergen and Dish is he's going to try to get away with whatever he can. That's his mo. That's what he'll do. So
Like the
I don't
Dish
know.
DirecTV merger, right, Sneed? Like the merger situation that we got to talk
I
about too.
mean,
I mean,
look,
that's a whole in this situation.
if I wasn't sure that both of them were already married, I would say that something was going on between John Stanky and Charlie Ergen. They're just hanging out way too much, dog. Like, think about it. They got DirecTV, Dish Network happening, right? You got Roman agreements. Okay, you got 12 years of that for Boost Mobile and the postpaid and all of that. And now the way things are shaking out. You notice that the two of them went in huge on this, and their spectrum holdings align really well in mid band, like Zero Cool was saying.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I remember when Charlie was like, "This merger is gonna happen." You know, he basically is like, "Yo, man, like I can't die until this happens." You know,
Right. Yeah, I do want to say something about the Dish possible Dish DirecTV merger. I may be against Dish as a wireless company. However, I am 100% on board with this merger. And I'll tell you why. One thing that Charlie does do right, besides poker, is his ability to have a good satellite company. He has launched a successful satellite company with Dish Network, or Dish Network. So, and here's why I want this merger to happen. Okay, picture this. Okay, because basically DirecTV, their satellites are in the Ka band. Okay, so 24 gigahertz on up. Dish's satellites are in the Ku band, which is K under, so 12 to 18 gigahertz. Okay, so that's what their range. Now, what you need to do, and which eventually will happen, which I think is really cool, is most of the DirecTV satellites are in geosync orbit, right? Geosynchronous orbit, like 20,000 miles up. Well, the K under sets used by Dish are usually like in medium Earth orbit, right? So what you can do is if you bring those satellites down to medium Earth orbit and you carrier aggregate, okay, your satellite spectrum together on one dish with transponders, what you're going to get is streams to your house in 8K or even 16K. Can you imagine just like watching Donald Trump in 8K? I mean, come on, like I would do it. Like I'm for that. I'm all for that. So there you go. I
oh
want this
god,
merger to happen, and because satellite's a dying breed, satellites only last about 15 to 20 years in outer space. That's their lifespan. So if we can,
well, how about
even
this
though,
Zero Cool? They haven't reinvested in anything satellite
all
in the
right,
last 10 years. So a lot
that's
of those
right.
satellites that are up there
Uh,
probably within the next 5 years are coming down.
they're dying, yeah. So they need to rejuvenation. They need to, and this merger is exactly how to do it. We like I said, they know that the market needs their 4K and their 8K, right? Like I said, you put the sats in medium Earth orbit, carry aggregate the spectrum, put some more transponders on it, and you're good to go.
All right, man. I mean, these these two companies are like destined for each other. I don't know if it's going to be network sharing. I don't know if it's going to be spectrum sharing. I don't know if it's going to be co-location builds. AT&T is going to go up with FirstNet and do this, that, and the third, and then they're going to put up Dish's gear and they're going to use Dish's spectrum. I think all that is a possibility, dog. Not even joking. I think all of that is in play because
Yeah.
the one thing that Charlie has been doing, this guy's been going to Asia. He's meeting with these networks and these people in India, Japan. How do they effectively, efficiently, cost effectively build out their networks? The cheapest, most cost effective way to get spectrum on air. ORAN, VRAN, you
Mm.
know, gear sharing, all of this stuff. Everything's on the frickin' table, Zero Cool. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that you can't count out. Like, it's all fair game.
That's right. Yeah, it is, and it's. I mean, here's the thing. I was doing some more research last night, and actually, the ORAN, Open RAN, actually works. The tests that they've been doing actually work better on mid-band frequencies and low band because of the there is certain R parameters. They haven't got the stuff worked out properly yet for the low band, and so right now they're just kind of just, I guess, putting on the kind of the back burner. But the mid-band frequency is so crucial. It really is. So especially if this the satellite merger goes through, the only thing that they'd have to do is repurpose the TV satellite spectrum into wireless spectrum. They have to do what's called a change of license, authorization. Basically, that converts the satellite spectrum into wireless spectrum. But yeah, so okay, looks like Moose will be right back. But yeah, it's, I mean, I want this merger to happen. I really, really do, because, and think about it, you would have an uncompressed, completely digital signal of 8K to your house if this merger went through. I think the streaming options that people are doing today, it's grainy, it's compressed, and it's just not. It's just what we need. It's just not what we need along a 5G right now.
All right, let's take a look here at a comment and a super chat from Santiago. Thank you for the super chat, brother. After today's news, do you all feel like AT&T is better positioned than Verizon going forward in terms of capacity and coverage? Okay, I'll chime in first. I think that AT&T was playing a little bit of catch up. So to me, they kind of just closed the gap a bit. They were really behind Verizon with respect to capacity and wireless, and I think they kind of closed that gap a little bit. And then, in terms of coverage, I think that's really up to FirstNet, and I don't think that this specific auction really changes or involves FirstNet in any specific way. With the exception of, you could say, well, since they do have sites to upgrade, now they're going to be climbing those sites, doing the band 14, the low band radios, and also upgrading all of their mid band radios, right? So in actuality, I don't think it really changes much, with the exception that if they didn't do what they did, they'd be in more trouble. This kind of helps them reduce the damage that maybe was left behind from the lack of the 3.7. That's kind of how I see it. Zero Cool, you want to chime in?
Verizon did spend big in the 3.7. That's good. I'm not saying that they're not going to have, they needed that capacity as well. Keep in mind, Verizon's capacity on midband was absolutely not good. They definitely needed it. I think just the way, it goes back to the frequency sets that I've been talking about earlier. AT&T has the most capacitive network. Why? It's because they utilize that, especially on the uplink. You're just adding more fuel to the amazing fire that they already have with carrier aggregation on those multi-band, mid-band radios, right?
Yeah, but Zero Cool, I think that the reason why AT&T is often more capacitive than Verizon is because more of AT&T's sites have been modernized within the last 2 years. Because if you look at AT&T's advantage, it's in rural Ohio. It's not in like Cleveland. It's not in Columbus. The advantage is in places where they did the band 14, the band 30, and then they upgraded backhaul. Like, if Verizon did those same things, their network would perform the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they monitor the network, but here's the thing: like Verizon's, they're without C-band, they're tapped out. They're just tapped out. There's nowhere else for them to go.
Yeah, but we're talking about sites that are previously band 13 only. If you upgrade those sites and just modernize them with today's gear and today's spectrum, even before C-band, those sites are doing 200-300 megabits.
Most of them are upgraded. Actually, most of them have been upgraded since before. After I left.
There are several sites that when I went on vacation last year, where I was testing Verizon sites, they were band 13 only. The same sites, AT&T had 14, 30, AWS, PCS, the whole thing, band 12, fully modernized, getting 200-300 megabits per second.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, personally, I would just say, like, if there's any Band 13 site out there, that's just our RF engineer not doing his job. That could be anything. It could be real estate. It could be real estate issues. It could be something else. Maybe there could also be. It just depends on the area. Maybe there's not enough return on investment of customers in the area. I don't know. But I mean, Verizon C-band purchase, yes, is good, but I'm telling you, AT&T is going to be where it's at. All AT&T has to do is just get enough more density like Verizon has, and then they're going to cream them. They really are. They're going to cream them in the mid-band game. Since Verizon set out this auction, it tells me this. They just wanted enough mid-band capacity so that they're not congested. All right. And the other thing this tells me is that they care more about millimeter wave, which is they should. Their game is millimeter wave. That's what they want to focus on. Great, have them do it. They're going to be, the millimeter wave king out there. But as far as the mid-band crown, and low band, that goes to AT&T.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's hard to argue T-Mobile's mid-band position. They have a ton of EBS, BRS. But,
exactly. And you know what? If they even bid in the 2.5, if they screw over T-Mobile, game over, bro. Game over. I hope that happens.
But you're gonna have to start changing some radio setups. I mean, if you're gonna start investing in 2.5, let's talk about what Ryan put here. He said, and thank you for the super chat, Ryan. I think Verizon is fine sending this auction out, given their massive existing C-band and millimeter wave arsenal of spectrum. All right, so let's move to Verizon, and we'll take a look at what Ryan has to say here. I think we have the gentleman back. Let's go ahead and get this going. Let's move on to Verizon. Verizon did nothing. They were there, they showed up to the party, and they left early, man. They just walked out. 0 megahertz of spectrum, nothing across the entire country. I really thought they were going to pick their spots like they did with the CBRS, and they were going to get 20 or 30 megahertz of spectrum like New York City, Chicago, Miami, Houston, LA. I really thought they would. Clearly, they must feel very, very confident in their C-band holdings, their densification process, their C-RAN, their small cells, their millimeter wave, and their CBRS. I have no other reason to believe it could be otherwise, because you can't sit out a spectrum auction if you think you need anything. They clearly must have felt they did not need anything. All right, so Tyrone, if you are here, I'll let you take on this.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to wait to mention this for the podcast, and I was speaking with Nikki T earlier, but this is very reminiscent of how Verizon went about it during LTE. So in the early LTE days, low band got congested, so they bought the first wave of AWS, which they called XLTE. Then they bought a little bit of AWS3, and they did not show up for any other spectrum auction after that. That was it. They didn't even go big at AWS3. They just put that on the network and they started densifying. It's very similar. They bought a little bit of CBRS. They went big on C-band, and now all of a sudden they're starting to walk on these auctions. I mean, of course, we have to wait to see if there's any future auctions. But if you want my guess as to who's going to walk at auction 108, I mean, it's going to be Verizon. I don't see them buying any of that spectrum at all. I don't even see them applying for bidding in that auction. And any future auction, I think you mentioned that earlier, Sneed, you don't foresee a mid-band auction of such size coming anytime soon. So this may be where Verizon will be on spectrum for the foreseeable future.
So here's where I'm at, Tyrone, and this is up in the air. We got 3.1. That'll be auctioned probably within the next 3 years. All right, so you have to plan for at least a 4-year window of no new mid-band, right? Like that's
Yep.
going to be high power macro band. Okay. The other piece to this is I have more confidence than ever that CBRS is going high power, or I should say higher power.
Yep.
So so say for example, CBRS is currently in the low 30s for the EIRP, the decibels per megahertz, whatever that number represents. I'm hearing it's going to increase by at least 10. If that happens, that's huge for Verizon because you have now already pre-existing infrastructure where you could turn up your radio gear, right? And you could turn up
Yep.
your antennas. And then you have now densified further, right? Your signal is going to go from a quarter mile small cell to a half a mile small cell. You're going to go from a 3/4 mile or a mile on macros to like mile and a half macros. Like that's game changing, and they don't have to pay anything else to do that. Like they have the spectrum, they have pals, there's unlicensed, their gear is up. I feel like that's a foregone conclusion now at this point. That's going to happen. And that's probably why that's one of the factors why Verizon didn't get involved here. And I actually think, Tyrone, Verizon is wrong. They
Oh yeah.
are going to be the most deeply entrenched fixed wireless provider. And they walked away from a mid-band auction. Shame on them. Did they not learn after what happened with Lowell McAdam in 2015 with AWS3?
Bro,
Yeah.
Let Charlie get all that spectrum.
What are
You
you
know,
guys talking about? Carolina's Wireless is an enterprise of Verizon. That's a DBA of a regional.
That's
Same with Blue
true.
Ridge.
Yeah.
Verizon did walk with some licenses, but they did in rural areas, but
yeah,
under
but
their
those
DBAs.
auctions, Carlos, those licenses are not in New York City or Miami or Houston.
Well,
Look at where those licenses are.
it doesn't matter. They're gonna turn on 100 megahertz here shortly. They're gonna get their 40 back from AT&T by the end of the summer.
So let me kind of hopefully put this in perspective. The first thing you are taught in RF engineering is to plan at least 2 years out with coverage and capacity. Okay, coverage, capacity, right? So you have to you have to meet obviously a couple of things: demand, return on investment. Okay, so what AT&T has done and will continue to do is beat Verizon in the mid-band game. They're doing it right. They're strategically doing it right. They didn't have to win all the C-band because the way that they're positioning themselves is they're going to be doing the carrier aggregation with more spectrum auctions like the 3.1. You may even have like the 4.9 that could come up as well. It's just I'm Verizon just like I said, they're dumb for sending out this auction.
Okay, really quick. Big shout out to Tim Williams. Thank you for the super chat. His question is AT&T doing N77 or N78? All United States carriers that have the 3 gigahertz spectrum, it's all N77. N78 is international roaming for C-band. So, and thank you for that. Just wanted to throw that out there so you could clarify on that. Right. Okay. I don't know if there was any more. I don't know if there was any other super chats. Okay. So, I mean, Carlos, I didn't even know. Like, you're bringing this up, dog. Like, when did you catch wind of this I don't know, the regional carrier situation?
Because it's called Googling. I knew when the results came out at like 8 a.m. Pacific time. I was already Googling what these regional names were DBAs of, and Carolina's Wireless, remember, was gobbled up by Verizon. in the whole regional acquisitions. Blue Ridge too. They did it for tax incentives, dude. Just like how Dish uses Bear or whatever and
Yeah,
all
but
this.
they
They
got
use
in
all the
trouble
other
for
ones.
that. But they got in trouble for that.
Oh,
To be honest, I could see those regional providers getting bought out.
Big shout out to Pete Fox. Appreciate the super chat, sir. What are your thoughts on the AT&T build timeline for the new spectrum? All right, that's a really good question. All right, so I got AT&T really hitting stride probably mid-year, right? End of the year they'll be in full swing. I think 2023 is going to be a big year for the 3 gigahertz bands for AT&T because I think the big piece is going to be the radio gear. They're going to want to put up gear that can do the entire shebang. C-band, that's 3.7. C-band, that's 3.4. That's going to reduce the amount of gear you got to
Yeah.
put up, right?
Oh,
So
I'm loving it, Sneed.
if
well,
and actually
they have
see,
to.
because that's going to be the thing that Verizon is going to be dealing with until they get combo gear in my market. They're going to be putting up CBRS gear and they're going to be putting up 3.7 gear, right? That's 2 separate sets of antennas.
That's
And
why.
even if they're running on the same radio, right? They still are going to have to put up 2 different panels or antennas.
That's why they're going with CommScope on the panels. CommScope can do everything minus one, so then they don't have to sit here and put 2 separate panels on top of their existing. All they gotta do is replace one, and then with the C-band panel, there you go. Now you got CBRS broadcasting off the CommScope.
Yeah, the CommScope has what's called. So what you can do is you can actually look up the frequency range on those CommScope antennas, and it does support your CBRS and C-band.
You know what else is going to be a problem is it's going to be market dependent. Like if you're in a market that's big for AT&T, yeah, you're going to get some nice upgrades. If you're in a market where they're playing second fiddle to Verizon or T-Mobile, it's going to take them a little bit longer. They're going to prioritize markets. Moose
Well,
will tell you there are
well, they
key
need.
markets for each of the carriers, and that's where you see the
Well,
upgrades first. Look at Carlos in Vegas. He's getting these incredible Verizon upgrades. They scaled a ton of N41 for T-Mobile. If you look at
well,
the
we need.
CLE, I mean, Verizon has the least spectrum of all the carriers by a mile. And it's still a great network here. And it's just they build so many sites, they upgrade so many sites. It's a combination of how big is that carrier in terms of market share in your market? How fast are they going to scale those upgrades? You're going to get the gear. They're going to climb these tower sites. They're going to upgrade backhaul. They're going to put these new radios, right? They're going to put up all this stuff for N77, N48, band 48. It depends on that market. It's hard to call it. It really is. Like look at Tyrone and El Paso. What is Verizon doing there, Tyrone? You said they got a CBRS site every half mile.
I think he's on mute.
Yeah, it does sound like he's on mute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah. So that's another problem, Sneed, that you're mentioning. Outside of the markets where AT&T dominates, and even in some of those markets, they're going to have to densify to a severe degree. And I'm being told this year, especially the second half of the year, as they spin off this media, they're going to densify faster and more than deploying C-band. And they're going to have to, especially in my market, they're going to have to densify. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 mile site spacing. They're going to have to densify to even make this work, this mid-band spectrum work. So, but yeah, you're right. Verizon is deploying densification like no other here, man. CBRS on small cells everywhere.
We got to talk about T-Mobile, guys. All right, so
Why?
yeah, we got to. Hey, they were busy today. Like they were in there. They're busy. I
I
gotta
know.
look. I gotta give them props. Every auction, they get some spectrum. I like it. Now, here's what I don't like. They're going to sit there and tell you that they're in the catbird seat for spectrum.
That's
Well,
why
if
they
you're
bought
in the
it.
catbird seat, then why the hell are you spending more per megahertz pop than everybody else? That's what I want to know.
Hey, Sneed.
Yo.
Yeah. I think this is just my take on it real quickly because I got to go. I think T-Mobile spent too much for little gain. They're just doing this for the bragging rights, in my opinion. 20 megahertz. It's 15 megahertz in the top 100 PEAs. It's not going to move the needle for them too much. Maybe on home internet, but more so, like you just mentioned, they're going to go on these. They're going to have another analyst type day because they got to give an update on how they're going to fund this new spectrum. And they're going to be up there, tooting their horns saying, hey, we got the most spectrum. We furthered our advantage. We're going to lead the whole way.
That's okay.
They're going to
That's
do all that.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that part. I just know when somebody is screaming in front of everybody, hey, look here, I did this, I did that. It's not a good look, right? So like if I look at the numbers, T-Mobile got their spectrum in this auction. They did the same thing in this auction they did at 107. It's the same situation, right? They bolstered the lead. They kept up with the lead. They want to stay up in the spectrum position. So that's their MO. But they spend the most per megahertz pop. So it's like they talk about how they're careful with money and all that. Well, not really. They're kind of wasting money. They say they're confident in the 2.5. They say they're confident in the propagation and reach and the capacity. This is why I say don't listen to carriers what they say. Watch what they do. T-Mobile says everything and does something totally different. They said that their advantage was in the EBS BRS N41 with the 2.5 gigahertz, and then they went and bought CBRS, and then they bought C-band 3.7 and 3.4. So no, they're not actually as confident as they say they are in the 2.5. That's wolf tickets. I'm telling you, these carriers, they will say any damn thing. They will lie through their teeth. You just have to watch what they do. Like, look, Verizon even let people think they were going to get in on this, and they walked away with nothing. Don't listen to what carriers say. Watch what they do. That's all I got to say about that. What do you mean, Devon? Why can't it be both? I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyways, anybody from the group, Zero Cool, I guess I'll start with you. Your take
Yeah, sure.
on T-Mobile kind of coming in and going 20 national? Almost
Well,
national. We'll say like semi-national.
I'm going to give you the real reason on this. I'll give everybody the real reason on this. So one, they have to continue to fund the network build out for a couple of years. They didn't have that, they did want more, but they got enough to keep up with capacity demands in the future. That's it. AT&T, again, in my opinion, has what we call excess capacity, or has planned 1 or 2 years ahead of everybody else. Here's the thing: we already had 100 megahertz of 2.5. They only have 160 megahertz of that. Okay, we're carrying the 20 and the 40 with the 100 megahertz. It's their spectrum, their capacity is, what the network build is going to be used up soon. And this is exactly why they bid on the auction. Now, what does that do? How does that help them? Okay, again, it helps them by producing eventually with Nokia and Ericsson a multi-band radio that's going to help them in 2023, 2024. 2025, they could see their network probably become, if they don't have a proper density, they could see it become, constrained and congested, right? So they did exactly what they need to do. They didn't do anything above what they needed to.
Hey, big shout out to John. Thanks for the super chat, man. He said, "Let's go Cowboys." Yeah. Man, the Cowboys are getting bounced out of the first round. Man, please. They ain't winning. They ain't crossing the street, dog. Oh, man, you know their MO. They'll choke. I like Dak, but they'll choke. All right. All right, so we covered each of the carriers that were involved. Should we mention US Cellular? Should we do that? Maybe? Is that a thing? Should we talk about them? Anybody excited about US Cellular?
No.
Okay, so I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Moose, we got you.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. It took some time to get back, but man, there's so much to talk about. Tyrone, you there? You're gonna say something? Or no, that's Carlos. Anyways, no, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was really interesting is this. Yes, Verizon has an insane spectrum position. Today, UBS analyst, what's his name? The John Holdlick guy, that guy, the analyst. He came out and he's saying, Verizon has 215 megahertz of spectrum total, right? Mid-band. Verizon has 246 megahertz of mid-band. T-Mobile has 315 megahertz of mid-band averaged nationwide, and AT&T now has 215 megahertz of spectrum nationwide. It's interesting because of two things, and I want to emphasize this because I know Sneed said this from the beginning. Watch what the carriers do, never listen to what they say. T-Mobile is the absolute worst at the spectrum auctions. They have absolutely no clue on what the hell they're doing. If they did have an idea of what they were doing, they would not be paying the most per megahertz pop for all of these licenses that they purchased after merger. And actually, I would even say that the merger spectrum was overpriced. No joke. Sprint was too expensive. The merger was too expensive because this has been an insane merger. Let me go way back in 2020, April, okay, when they launched N41 spectrum. Nobody would have thought that the merger would have accelerated competition on all sides.
That's right.
Nobody would have thought that it would have accelerated competition on all sides to the point right now.
We did.
Of course. I'm saying the analysts were wrong. Letitia James was wrong, like very dead wrong. God damn, at least I don't even know about that woman. Anyways, I mean, Jesus. And then to top it all off, you know who was really wrong from the beginning about all this? John Legere and Smelly Armpits Damn Sievert they had no idea that the Sprint base was going to migrate away, completely leave the company in sour taste because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They can't fix the issues. They can't fix the billing things. Not until just recently, the migrations of the plans are now on the T-Mobile system. I'm like, why didn't you just announce it from the beginning that we were going to migrate them in the future? No, because Magenta plans are the best and we need to be on Magenta only, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, my point is this, Sneed. Right now, we have a very interesting situation that has occurred because of the T-Mobile merger. AT&T has effectively become the growth story of a century, of a decade. It's never been possible to think that somebody that originally was thought of as an old guy in a business suit and does no way of making more gross ads or any gains in that market, they were just losing and losing and losing for so many years because of T-Mobile, would suddenly have this renaissance and now is like this mid-30s, type of guy. It's like not even nothing crazy, but mid-30s type of guy. So it's like, to put the analogy like you like to do, Sneed. My point is, again, AT&T is doing, like Tyrone said earlier in our call, Stanky's doing 6D chess, not 4D chess, not 3D chess, not regular chess, 6D chess. $10 billion of savings to fund the C-band build. Wow. That blew my mind, Sneed. 10 billion. I honestly am kind of.
So here's how we're gonna do these numbers, Moose. Okay. He spent 27 billion on 3.7. If he was gonna do the same amount of spectrum he has today just in 3.7, they would have spent over 45 billion. He spent 27 billion on 3.7. He spent 9 billion today. That's 36 billion. If he just would have gotten this much spectrum in C-band, he would have spent probably 45 billion. So
Wow.
my point is he saved $10 billion by splitting his spectrum choices into part 3.7, part 3.4. That $10 billion is probably going to be 70 to 80% of the gear that goes up for the 3 gigahertz bands. So he basically is going to, with the money he saved between the two auctions, by going into the 3.4, he's going to use that to build the 3.4 and the 3.7. That's the brilliance of what Stanky did.
Absolutely, yeah.
So he basically, it's like a twofer, right? It's killing two birds with one stone. He's going to climb each site, put all the gear there after using the money he saved in this auction to pay for that gear.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget, we're double dipping, because for every site he climbs with FirstNet, he's putting up all the other gear too.
Yeah. So, one of the things that and I like that Zero Cool mentioned these multi spectral radios, right? The dual band or multi-band radios. This is going to be really important in 2022 for a couple reasons. AWS 3 and 4 will be able to be on one single radio, which will increase capacity immediately. C-band, aka N77, now has to have multi-frequency support in just one radio, so that you have just one antenna blasting out multiple different frequency bands. And remember this, Sneed and Zero Cool and Carlos already know this. AT&T is the carrier of multi-frequencies, right? N66, or sorry, LTE 66, LTE 30, band 30, right? Band 29. How many carriers on LTE are there already? There's 7, 8 potentially, right? In certain markets, right? The same thing is going to happen with 5G. I'm now more than confident than ever that AT&T is going to have this multi-spectral frequency portfolio on top of their existing LTE bands.
Hey, Moose,
so
here
that
you
they
go, right here, Moose. I got one for you. Look on the screen.
Oh my God. This guy, Keon, I swear to God, man.
So,
Man.
yeah, Keon. So let me explain. Let me kind of expound Keon's knowledge here. So, if you have a lot of spectrum, let's take T-Mobile for example. If you have a lot of spectrum, and for example, in the 2.5 gigahertz, that only gets you what T-Mobile's having to do is they're having to carry that with their band 71. So why do they do that? Answer: it's more range. Okay, you get a 20% more range when you do carrier aggregation on those FDD on those frequencies. Now for FDD, okay, when you carry 7, 8 bands together, especially because you'll be able to do beamforming. Now why is carrying 7 or 8 bands together on midband better than just having one band with a lot of spectrum? And the answer is because when you're doing beamforming, when you're doing what we call beamforming, new technology is called beamforming edge. So beamforming edge is basically you're getting a beam performance edge to edge, like when you're on, like your RSRP is like in the negative, 115 or 120, whatever, right? So that's extremely important. And the only way to negotiate with that from your phone to the tower is with multiple frequencies. You can't do it
Yeah,
just
but there's something to be said about contiguous spectrum, though.
all that
The
does is okay, but
efficiency the
okay, so
efficiency is
all
really nice.
all the continuous spectrum does, if you have like a wide swath of channel, like a huge big old channel, all that does is give you fast downlink and uplink speeds. When you're going away from
Yeah, but zero cool, that's what we're talking about here. If we got a tower site
the,
every mile,
what I'm talking about is negotiation between from site to site. Your phone's gonna, your phone is gonna perform better carrying multiple frequency bands when you're driving.
it's interesting you bring that up because the best carrier for RSRP value and tower handoffs in my market is Verizon, and they only have 3 carriers.
Yeah, just imagine what they would have, once the C band is going.
Okay, but AT&T has, like, 5 carrier aggregation on sites, and the tower handoffs are not as good as Verizon's.
That's because they don't have the density yet, but they will.
So, density greater than carrier aggregation, and
It,
you
it
can't tell me
is.
otherwise.
No, it is true, but you need to have both for a great network. That's what I was saying, coverage and capacity, right? What I'm trying to say,
I got you,
what
I
I'm
got
trying
you.
to say is that when you're doing a handoff, your phone has to uh, negotiate. So if you're farther from the site at cell edge, you really think you're going to get great downlink performance on a 2.5 signal if you're 3 miles out? No. You're going to need to carry that with another band, such as like a band 71 that T-Mobile is doing to get that performance. That's my point. Okay, you have to carry multiple frequency bands to get the spatial technology that beamforming is going to provide when you're doing site handoffs. Does that make sense?
I'm gonna look at, like, say, for example, if I look at Verizon's portfolio, they may not have as many carriers as AT&T, but I don't see
Or-
their situation as being a deficiency. Yeah, you could say that AT&T's got it in spades, the carrier portfolio, but I wouldn't
Okay,
say that
I'm going to
Verizon's
put this in a
deficient.
more. I'm going to put this in a more simple perspective. Let's say you have 50 people. Let's say you have a house party. You have 50 people. Okay. Okay. I'll do this in two different. Let's say you have two houses with 50 people in each house. They both want pizza. One house gets a huge cheese pizza. Okay. The other houses get 10 different flavors of pizza. Okay. 10 different other types of pizza. Now, which pizza do you think is going to be eaten the most? The,
Um, I don't
the
know.
answer is the one with different flavors because not everybody likes cheese pizza. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I
yeah,
understand the gain in what you're saying. I get the technology.
right.
I'm just looking at it like this. The like, Verizon engineering must be looking at it like, it can't be that big of a deal because if your tower density is good, if it's
Hmm.
adequate, the impact of not having as much flexibility as, say, AT&T is probably gonna be less noticeable or negligible, like, it may help in some instances, but there's no way it could be make or break.
Right. So here's the thing. It's not make or break. It helps out with overall our performance and
Yeah, I
condition.
agree. I
Okay.
mean,
So
I've seen
here's
some incredible stuff from AT&T with their carriers, I really
especially with
have.
capacity. Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I worked at Verizon, how I beat AT&T was with density on metrics. That's how I had to do it because I couldn't work. I only had so much capacity to work with, right? So how do you beat AT&T that had double the capacity with density? I couldn't tell you like how much crap I had to do to beat Verizon to get 100%, mind you, reliability score and beat them in room metrics. So the winning combination that AT&T is going to have with their tower site density that they're going to catch up to Verizon very, very soon, and with small cells, mind you, is going to be the flexibility in their mid-band holdings.
But I
They
feel like, I swear, Zero Cool, I feel like that's more massaging, that's more magic, and I feel like Verizon's looking at this like, "We're just gonna go with raw power."
Yeah, but just because Verizon has the density doesn't mean that AT&T is never going to get there. Like, you know what I mean? That's
No,
like,
no, they're definitely gonna get there. I have
no,
100% faith
right.
in AT&T. I'm watching what they're doing across the entire state of Ohio, and I'm like, holy hell!
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they're like the amount of CRAN that's sitting, waiting to get turned on is crazy. Like Zero Cool, you remember when we tested Columbus that one day in the
Oh
summer?
yeah,
It
yep,
was
yep.
nuts. Every T-Mobile site was like 250 megabits,
Mhm.
and they had no 5G.
Yeah.
It was all LTE, right? So that's what you're talking about, right? That's you're putting in all those carriers with all those channels, and you're putting it all together, and it's just a great bowl of jambalaya, you know?
It's pretty much it. Yeah, it's several bowls of jambalaya, right? It's here's the thing. Your capacity can only do so much, coverage can only do so much, but when you mix, it's especially with the beamforming, and when you beamform different frequencies like that, it's gonna make that game much more better, especially if depending on different applications. Like if you're, like I said, going away from the sites, if you're on edge or if you're in buildings, that's gonna help a lot because the the problem with, if everybody's connected to just one high capacity band, it still has the ability to get overloaded. It does. That's why your phone needs to switch to other bands. That's why you have such a high capacity on LTE's network for AT&T. Carlos has proven that in his testing.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. He almost, what I remember his test being while like a year ago, 7,800 megabytes, right, on LTE, right?
Yeah.
So what that is multiple frequencies. Yeah, I mean, look at the tower density, like I said, but I'm telling you, there's a reason why I'm gonna, I just ordered a phone today. I got the Motorola Edge. I just ordered today actually, so I'm gonna be on AT&T for life, and yeah, that's right. And
Well,
it just,
actually, so Zero Cool, let's do this. You're the
yeah.
RF guy, bro, and in RF we trust, right? So here we go. Verizon, as of right now, in we're talking about the 3 gigahertz frequencies. They've got N77, 60 megahertz of block A. Okay. AT&T's got 40,
Mm-hmm.
and now they get another 40.
Is
Okay.
80. Yeah, yeah.
Now Verizon, let's throw in Verizon CBRS because it's meaningful. Okay, it is. That's capacity. Okay, it's fast. And then T-Mobile's got the N41, and right now it's 100 megahertz, and then they got their LT to go with it. What do you like out of those 3 combinations to be the the best performer, most meaningful performer, like once that build is done, right? So like T-Mobile's the closest to finishing their N41, obviously. Verizon probably needs what, 2 years, 3 years maybe to finish N77, and
Yep.
then AT&T's probably right there too. So
S-
what are we talking about 3 years from now, dog?
I,
When
t- I
when Verizon goes to 200 160 N77 nationwide, AT&T goes 140, and then um T-Mobile's around what, like 160, 180, 200 maybe? I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's going to be future spectrum auctions. It depends on if Verizon sets them out. But like I said, if AT&T is going to, like the 3.1 auction, they're going to own the whole 3 gigahertz, which is more than Verizon, right? So that's what I'm counting on. That's what I think is going to is going to happen. Especially if you, like I said, you add in, their 2.3 stuff like that. But I think uh, both AT&T and Verizon, they have great spectrum holdings in the 3 gigahertz range, right? CBRS, C-band. But like I said before, what we do in RF is we plan for the future. Just because you got spectrum now, great. Guess what? You still have to plan 1 to 2 years out ahead of that. That's what I did when I was at Verizon. That's how I beat AT&T, right? So, like I said, we got future spectrum auctions coming up. AT&T is playing that 6D chess, and I think they're gonna kick. They're, in my opinion, they already kicked Verizon's. They kicked Verizon's butt in the mid band game. They win, and that's just how I'm gonna call it.
All right,
One of the
so
things,
we got a
one of the
poll
things,
here. Go ahead, Moose. Go ahead.
One of the things that I wanted to say is this: when I was working at T-Mobile, and raw power, quote unquote, which was 20 by 20, right? Band 4, right? LTE. You had 10 by 10, band 2. And then you had another 5 by 5 in band 12, a maximum of 35 megahertz on the downlink. Okay. Raw power did nothing because when there's too many users on a sector, it's going to become super congested. So the analogy is, regardless of the massive C-band that Verizon has, the N77 3.7, right, block A, it is finite. I can calculate right now how many users it will take for all of Verizon's spectral portfolio in the sub 6 to get congested today, right now. There is a number. Now, am I saying that it's going to be congested immediately? No, of course not. But just the same way that we're talking about T-Mobile can get congested on N41, even if they increase their backhaul to 25 gig backhaul, you know what I'm saying, Sneed? Verizon can get congested too. That's a fact because it's physics. It's a finite amount of spectrum per user that you can have.
But they're the only carrier that's like actually building out millimeter wave. They're the only carrier that's actually building I mean, AT&T's doing it a little bit, and they're gonna have to increase their output on that. But they're the only one that's approaching a true future 5G network. Like it's not an exaggeration to say that AT&T and T-Mobile are still catching up to Verizon's millimeter wave. Like if Verizon stopped millimeter wave today, T-Mobile would catch them in 4 years. If Verizon stopped today, AT&T would catch them in 3 years. That's how big of a difference it is.
Yeah, that's Verizon's network strategy, right? Their millimeter wave.
And that matters
It
because
does. Yeah, there's
anybody
nothing
who
wrong with
gets
that.
on a millimeter wave channel is on the only true bulletproof connection. There's literally 800 megahertz on air. Where do you get that?
But where people are forgetting is that you need to do this deployment for the millimeter wave, because guess what's going to start opening up later on? The terahertz frequencies. And guess what?
Don't get me started on that.
That type of densification that Verizon is doing on millimeter wave is the same densification that you're going to need for terahertz spectrum.
I
So
don't
they're already ahead of the
understand.
game
I don't
for the
understand
6G
how
game.
here's my problem. I don't understand how people are going to say Verizon is the most likely to be congested. You must be out of your damn mind. They have 160 to 180 megahertz of dedicated C-band. They have CBRS, which is on LTE right now, and they got 1600 megahertz of millimeter wave, and that's going to be the network that gets congested.
I was
You
talking
people are
about
crazy.
I was talking about mid-band only for them, not
Well,
millimeter
but I
wave.
can't. I have to call it like a spade a spade. They're doing a lot.
Sneed. So remember how AT&T took over Vegas for just one Q on root metrics, and then they won it. Verizon won their crown right back. That was still on the same 40 megahertz of spectrum. All they did was turn up the backhaul.
All I'm saying is that when I get on millimeter wave nodes, I can't congest it. Me and everybody else, we can't congest it. I've seen congested mid-band channels, and the only company that's actually building millimeter wave in any type of substantial level, over 31,000 nodes. They haven't even started deploying repeaters yet, or echoes or pivots. I'm just saying, how is that the carrier that gets congested? Do you guys listen to the things that you're saying?
Well, I mean,
You might.
like I said, it's just going to be on mid-band that for that belief. And millimeter wave, they're going to kill it, right? Now, for the terahertz, there's a reason why they're putting all those small cells out, because guess where the terahertz is going to go? On those small cells. Okay, this is exactly why they're doing it. Yeah, they'll be ahead of the game, but like I said, they're not going to be ahead of the mid-band game. You know, high band millimeter wave, yeah, they're going to kill everybody. Great. Good.
But I still don't understand how any carrier is at a disadvantage right now.
They're not.
T-Mobile has T-Mobile has 160 megahertz of EBS BRS, and they have tons of PCS and AWS. Okay, Verizon has all this AWS. They have PCS. They have CBRS. They have C-band. Tons of it. It's over 200 megahertz. And then we have AT&T. That's now in the same conversation, right? They're around 200. There is no carrier right now that's in bad shape for spectrum. How do you guys predict who's going to be congested when they're almost all in the same place of spectrum holdings?
Well, for mid band, they're good for 2 to 3 years. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I get it. How are you predicting the congested carrier based on spectrum when they're all at 200 or more megahertz? You
What for mid?
can't.
For,
That means you cannot make your decision based on
Because
spectrum holdings. It must be something else.
bro.
It must be density. It must be
yeah,
millimeter wave. It
it,
must be fiber. It must be something else.
it's all of that. To be honest.
wait. To say that the spectrum position is good enough is not. It's not good enough. We constantly need more, because I'll tell you this. If we need 4K resolution on demand like this, right? Like as soon as I press the button, it always launches in 4K. I need a minimum of 35 Mbps to make sure that it's above the minimum 25, right? So I have that 10 Mbps gap, right? That buffer zone. Reality is that I would like to have 100 Mbps per subscriber. I think the rules now have changed. And what I mean by that is this: congestion used to be anything 2.0 Mbps or lower is considered a congested cell site. If every subscriber on that sector is getting below 2.0 Mbps, that's congested. However, if everything is set to 4K standard, anything below 25 Mbps is considered congested. So because it's a finite amount of spectrum, and we don't know what Verizon's plan is for migrating LTE spectrum frequencies to 5G on the standalone side later in Q4. We already know what AT&T's is at, right? They're going to be slowly migrating band 30, band 12, band 5 is already there, band 2 definitely, and band 66. But again, I agree with Zero Cool. 2 to 3 years, the spectrum is going to be good for, yes. But the more people use their phones with 4K and higher amounts of data.
So, how do you predict Verizon will be the congested carrier in 2 to 3 years?
I'm just saying, and depending on the auctions, they could be on mid band.
That's wrong,
bro.
That's wrong.
This is the thing. Verizon,
That's wrong.
Verizon's been known to milk the damn spectrum, dude.
That's
They're the
absolutely
only
wrong.
carrier. They're the only carrier. They're the only carrier that made fucking 40 megahertz continue happening and keeping the network alive for this whole time.
You guys are losing track of this. Like, nobody's mentioning it. Verizon, well, Carlos kind of did. Verizon had the weakest spectrum position of all the carriers till today. Right? Up until C-band, they have the weakest spectrum position. And here they are still competing in root metrics as the top performer. And you guys are discounting a couple of major things. Like, you guys say that density is important, and then you turn around and say spectrum is more important.
But here's the thing. Here's where we're trying to get at.
Density is the key. Small cells, mini macros, all that is important, and that's what Verizon does best. I showed Dennis this area that's nothing but mini macros everywhere, and Verizon's the only one that has solid service. AT&T doesn't even cover half the area. T-Mobile is half dead there too.
Yeah, density is important. Yeah, density is king. I mean, the point what I'm trying to make is that let's just take density kind of like out of the equation. The more, what me and Moose are saying is, the more video intensive bandwidth, like for example, augmented reality or artificial intelligence or VR. Okay, there's only so much mid-band spectrum. I'm just talking about mid-band only. There's only so much mid-band spectrum to go around. Okay, it doesn't. Density can only do so much. Capacity can only do so much. You need to have.
You know why?
both.
Zero Code's about to allude it to. Do you know why, Sneed? He's saying that density can only do so much? Because there's certain places right now that T-Mobile has the density, but then they're getting into these frequency issues because there's too many sectors looking at a specific
Yeah, but
area.
they're not getting the most out of their sites. Their backhaul is not good enough.
No, forget about the backhaul. If you have two of
Why?
the
Why
same
am I forgetting
frequencies,
about the
listen,
backhaul?
wait, I'm explaining a physics issue here. If you have two antennas pointing at the same direction, okay, there will be an issue that the phone not only will get hot, but will have a problem figuring out which of the two sectors to connect to. Zero Code, can you allude to what I'm talking about? There's an actual technical term for this.
It's
Yeah,
called
but
null sector or
that's
something
not
like
the
that, right?
problem.
That's like pin interference. My point is this: okay, you have to have really good density, clusters of sites, and high capacity. You cannot have one without the other. It just doesn't work. My point is that AT&T is positioned and will be in the future, if they keep on going this mid-band, auction pace, to beat Verizon, to beat up Verizon.
I'm still waiting for an auction where AT&T gets more spectrum than Verizon.
Yeah, well, they just did
Then
this one, so there.
hold
And
on, hold on. No.
and then
But hold on.
so
I
what
want to
so what
see
about
if
the last one? What about 3.7? What were you saying then?
Because the
Wait,
3.7
Carlos.
is great for
Wait, hold on.
Verizon. They just needed enough spectrum because they desperately needed that spectrum to catch up with AT&T.
Let's see what
Hey,
Carlos.
Sneed.
What you're saying.
If you're saying that AT&T is in a better spectrum and all this stuff, then I want this quick answer. Then why is it that I've been showing Dennis? We've been going to areas, and recently AT&T has been coughing dead, falling on HSPA in many areas, in main populated areas around town, where the congestion's so real that it drops HSPA.
Yeah, they could have
If
congestion
they
issues. It could be optimization issues. They probably need density. Like I said, you can't. It's the
Even the
density.
FirstNet is garbage right now. I don't know
Yeah,
what happened. It was so good.
yeah. Like I said, it could be an optimization, but it could be they need more density. It could be broken sectors, which are.
Optimization over the whole valley, because it's happening all
I've
over the
seen.
valley. It's not just in one area. I can
Well,
go wherever area.
it could be. I've had it to where, trust me, I've had software issues on the basebands to where we had to redo it. It's not a pretty picture, but I mean, like I said, my point is, you got to have both. Let's put it this way, guys. I was lucky, very lucky, when I was at Verizon to beat AT&T when I didn't have the spectrum that I was needed to win in RootMetrics, but I did. I knew how to do it. It's just a
So
good to
would
have
you
both.
so you're telling me you would trade all your little carrier fixins for your density?
I would trade my carrier fixes for density capacity. Yeah.
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 Right. Yeah, right.
No, I am dead
Yeah,
serious.
right. Yeah,
You
right.
don't know how much, dude. I had to drive 24 hours just to this is just to make sure that our VoLTE calls were good. I drove all around Modesto. Like, that's the thing. Optimization is good, but it only gets you so far. You have to have
When
like the winning
next you're gonna
combination.
say you're a fan of the next you're gonna say, bro, you're a fan of the Knicks. Damn.
I'm just saying. Okay, look. When you tested the AT&T, a while back, yeah, remember those speeds you were getting, right? That's going to continue. Just because have some issues now, it doesn't mean those are going to get fixed with
So,
density. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
this is what's happening is they're gaining so much, like they're gaining clientele like crazy, so many customers
Right.
that they're starting to feel the congestion real, bro.
I'm sure,
Because
yeah.
I've seen even my home tower that was doing 400 Mbps at nighttime. I'm lucky if it gets 100 now at night. I'm lucky in the daytime it gets 10.
Let me ask this question. Would you guys have a lot of sites with no capacity on it, or few sites with a lot of capacity?
I don't want any parts of any of that.
Okay, you just answered my question.
Yeah,
Thank
but I
you.
mean, I think so then we're probably on the same page. I think for proper networking, like Moose gave the scenario with the interference. So the problem for T-Mobile in that instance, what he's talking about, where they got all those macros within like whatever, like a half mile of each other. The trouble is probably this. You can always optimize and you could tilt and you can adjust signal strength and all that.
Mhm.
The problem is they're not getting the most out of these sites.
That's
Some of
because,
these sites,
yeah.
like your max, like I remember with the first N41 test I did in Cleveland, I was getting 250 megabits per second. Like when they turned up the backhaul, that shit went to 750. You see what I'm saying? So they're leaving capacity on the table. If you do that to 20 sites, you change the game. If you upgrade the backhaul and you properly
Mhm.
optimize 20 sites in a cluster, you change the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another thing that they need to do desperately is convert that spectrum over to FDD. They're 2.5, and they need to win the auction.
Yep. I
Well,
actually anticipated that if AT&T goes into the 108, is it 108? Yeah, 108, right?
Mm-hmm.
The spectrum auction 108, right, with the
Yeah.
2.5.
Yes.
Okay. If AT&T does go into that auction and gets 40 megahertz of that, it'll be band 8. It will go FDD because it's perfectly aligned with their strategy currently. I don't think they want to do TDD, time
no,
duplex modulation.
no, they can't. Not on their network, because if you keep in mind, this is the spectrum that they inherited from Sprint, from TDD for T-Mobile.
Yeah.
That if they do, if they do, bid in that auction 108, yeah, that will be FDD, and I'll probably start working for McDonald's at that point, because no.
God.
You're gonna be shaking that at Trick Ronald's. Damn.
Hey,
Man.
if I can build a network like how I did in Los Angeles for Sprint, and I bet I can flip some good ass burgers.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Hey, but if they have to migrate that to from TDD to FDD, there's
Hmm.
gonna be loss in spectrum, right?
No, the only thing you're doing, so it's from TDDs, you have basically one channel, one set of frequencies for your downlink and uplink, right? All FDD does is you're just splitting that. You're setting a certain set of frequency range for your downlink and a certain set of frequency range for uplink. So what that allows to do is that allows for carrier aggregation to be more effectively utilized, because what you're able to do is, let's say if you have like, for example, 2.5, let's say you have a 2.56, and then to, I don't know, 2.58, whatever. And then let's say if you buy some more spectrum, right, on the auction, what that does for your uplink is you can carrier ag those and make it continuous across your uplink and downlink. And what that does for your other bands, for example, that allows your carrier aggregation to be more utilized effectively with, like, for example, 71, because you're working on the frequency division duplexing, meaning you can actually carrier ag straight on the uplink for SA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, like
pretty
like I've
much,
been
pretty
saying
much.
from day one,
Yeah.
T-Mobile should have a plan by 2024 to convert all N41 into N8. That should be the goal. That should be the plan.
Yeah, we're getting there, but it's just we have to wait till the in the freaking auction. So
Yeah. And here's the other thing that I was thinking about the other day too. If hypothetically Dish and AT&T bid on the N41 spectrum in auction 108, T-Mobile should be very careful,
they're done. No, it's Trick Ronalds for me.
because you know why, right, Steve? Because you said a spade, right?
Right.
If T-Mobile does not get more of their quote unquote brute force spectrum right now that they have on air everywhere, right? We have a problem. T-Mobile has a very big problem because they didn't buy any spectrum in 110, in the DoD spectrum, in the C-band spectrum. They didn't buy enough.
Which carrier?
T-Mobile didn't buy enough of the other type of spectrum to
You don't think so?
avoid the issue of if they don't get enough N41 spectrum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they actually did okay. All right. I think they have enough N41 right now. If the auction for 108 goes as planned and they get what they need to kind of fill in those areas where they don't have all of it, I really do hope they get all of it. I don't want any carrier to get any of that except for T-Mobile because it would just be stupid, right? Like seriously, just think about the mess we've had since 700 megahertz. Like, look at the blocks, the way that happened. Look at the 700 megahertz. Look at the 850.
Wait.
To gobble it up.
What happened?
We need the rest to gobble it up, bro. Screw it.
Wait, but hold up. Let me just say this. So if T-Mobile is
and by the way, Moose, and by the way, no carrier needs low mid-band more than T-Mobile.
Yep, that's for sure. That is true.
They want to their MO is to not use small cells that much. We need them to have the lowest frequency mid-band so they can stretch that damn signal.
Guys, think about it. There's only 160 megahertz of 2.5 that they have available. They already carry aggregating 100 megahertz with channels of 20 and 40 on top of that. Yeah, they're going to need all the 2.5 and auction 108. If they don't do that, if they don't get all of it, they're fucked.
Let me say this before we continue. If T-Mobile gets the remaining spectral slices of that N41 spectrum, they should sell their remaining assets of C-band and auction 108, 110, the DoD spectrum, because they need to be able to finance their massive debt load that they're going to get from that purchase of 108. There's no way they're going to get it for cheap. No way. If they do get it for cheap, I'm going to just put my hands up and I'm going to say this is BS, man. Because that is ridiculous that they're able to bid up the other auctions, but they're going to be able to get their quote-unquote spectrum for cheap. No way.
I hope it goes expensive as hell.
Actually, yeah. Hold on. I've been thinking about this just now, and I think I know what actually might happen. Hold on, here we go. You guys are gonna love this. The rise of Charlie. He's gonna get his poker hand out, and he's gonna screw T-Mobile just like how they screwed them in the 600 megahertz sharing agreement. Can you imagine that? This is how the auction is gonna go down.
I hope Charlie bids the crap out of it. I hope he wins all of it, bro.
He probably will, dude.
People underestimated that Dish had no ability to spend in any other auction, but all those business deals and all those contracts they've been landing, I guess they're speaking for themselves to spend 7.3 something billion on this auction, right?
Well, they got they were able to raise 3 or 4 billion as recent as like a month or two ago, and it was for corporate purposes. That pretty much means spectrum, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but everybody says that they only have the 10 billion and that's it. But they forget all these contracts that they're signing, all these enterprise deals that they're making behind the scenes.
Oh, they're in deep with Amazon. I mean, that's facts, bro.
Yeah, but that's, people don't think about that. They just like, oh, they said only 10 billion, that's it. Well, if that was the case, then that means that they would be broke right now because they just spent it all. No, it's called the business deals that they're making is getting them money. Those contracts they're signing, and Amazon's their biggest one.
That would be ironic for Dish to go in and disrupt T-Mobile on the EBS BRS spectrum auction, because Isn't that what T-Mobile said they wanted to do to the carriers in C-band?
Uh,
That would be
right.
ironic for that to happen, but I mean, Eugene is not well received by anybody in the industry. That's for damn sure.
Let's put it this way: T-Mobile is not going to be the only bidder on that auction. I guarantee it. They won't.
So who do you think is going to bid against them? Who's really going to be a
Charlie,
legit?
I swear to God, it's
You
gonna.
guys, do you guys agree with Zero Cool that it's going to be Charlie to come in and mess everything up and just get it all, murked up?
And not only, I don't even think it's just going to be Charlie.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. I honestly think this is just my, I guess, I've been living the Death Star train for a long time, and I understand the value of multiple spectrum lanes. I think that it would be good for 40, 60, 40 or 60 megahertz in certain markets for AT&T to get for the 2.5. You can stack the antennas, like a door, like a one on the bottom, one on the top, like flush, right? I've seen it in New York City on a Nokia, network equipment. So I know it's possible.
Yeah, and
yeah.
here's the thing. I'm going to tell you why this would be important for AT&T. Easy answer: because you can carry that with your 2.3 WCS spectrum. That's going to be so good. And imagine all that. Imagine all that on one mid-band radio. Come on, work with me now.
Bro, it's the same. It's actually the same antenna, bro, and the same radio. Think about
Yeah,
it.
I know. Yeah. So basically, again, it goes back to the multi-band, multiple frequencies, and carrier
Yeah.
aggregation that's going to make AT&T
Wait,
the mid-band leader. And I hope to God they go ahead.
what is it? 2.2. That antenna does 2.2 to 2.6 or something like that.
It depends on the, well, actually, to be, yeah, it's 2.2 to 2.6, but it depends on, here's the thing, some markets, not all markets, but some markets are going to have to do an antenna change out based on the bordering issues with, like, for example, like Canada and Mexico, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, holy crap, like this would be, I'm keeping an eye on that freaking auction. Not just because I'm required to, but also because I want to. I want to see how this plays out. No, man, if you think this auction was good, just wait to that auction. We'll see what happens.
Now, here's the thing. We had predictions in the last podcast, or actually not in the podcast. We had predictions in the Twitter space, right, Sneed? That you were saying that, Verizon might have gotten some in the top 50 markets, right? The DoD spectrum. Sneed?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Moose. One more time.
Do you remember that you made predictions that you were thinking that Verizon got some spectrum in the top 50, right, markets?
Yeah, I really thought they were going to treat it like they treated the CBRS. I really did.
Do you believe?
Bro,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was saying, bro, like the inside connect was wrong, bro. He was wrong as hell.
It happens. It happens.
It's fine.
The reason why I thought they were going to do it was because 3.1 is probably going to take 3 years to get to market, 3 or 4 years. And I thought they would have thought about the past and how they really dropped the ball with AWS. I thought some of that would have been like a burn that they would never forget. It'd be like a scar that remains from a burn from 5, 6, 7 years ago. Like, we don't want to live that again. The only thing I could say is they must have looked at their millimeter wave, CBRS, and C-band and just said, no, we're good. See, the difference between this situation and AWS is they didn't have any other options in 2015. There was no millimeter wave. There was no CBRS. They didn't have the same density they have today. So that's the only thing. But yeah, Moose, I'm disappointed. I really thought they could have used a top 46 type PA Just get the extra 30 or 40 megahertz. It's only going to cost you a couple $1 billion to do it. Maybe what do you think it would have costed them to hit those top 46 PAs for 20 for 20 or 30 or 40
Maybe just
megahertz?
3
We would
billion
have spent
max.
maybe 4 billion tops.
No, just 3.
That's what I. So to me, what is $3 billion? That's 2 farts in the wind.
It's a drop in the bucket for Verizon.
Exactly.
But I wanted to
It's a
ask
candle
you
in the
this.
sun. I'm telling you. So to me, but come on, Moose, think about it, right? So they really must have thought we don't need the extra gear to have to go up.
No, but listen to this. I'm asking you this question. Do you believe Verizon bids on N41 spectrum? Because by that point, they will have an idea of how much more spectrum they need. So your take.
How much more spectrum do the carriers need?
But so whenever that auction 108 happens, right?
Okay.
Verizon will have already turned on C-band and 77 in certain areas, right? And if they're going to be pushing the fixed wireless home internet, they will have an idea as well of how many users per spectrum they need, right? Because right now it's all theoretical. It's not actually happening. You know what I mean? It's not actually happening, right?
Right.
So do you believe that Verizon is going to bid on that N41 spectrum?
No, I don't have. Look, and here's why I don't think they get involved. They didn't get involved in this one. Why would they get involved in the next one? When the next one is even more fickle than this one. If they were to purchase 2.5 gigahertz, they would again have to be dealing with new types of gear that has to go up on these sites. They'd be climbing them again. I think that's what they're trying to avoid. I think they're trying to consolidate. I think they're trying to streamline and focus these network upgrades. We're going to climb a tower. We're going to upgrade it for N77 and N48, whatever, band 48, however they do their CBRS thing. And we're going to put up mmWave. And they're going to do that for the next 3 years. Hard. They're going to upgrade every macro to C-band. Every macro gets CBRS. And then they're going to turn up the power and everything's going to be lovely. They don't want to put up unnecessary gear in situations. Here's the thing about the 2.5, Moose. In some places, it's going to be 20 megahertz. In some places, it's going to be 60. T-Mobile already has 160 megahertz of it in most places. So what's left? 40, 20.
So the reason why I'm asking, right, this question is because I have a feeling that it might be the case. It might happen, man.
This is supposed to say Dish doing it, though,
Okay, so out of all the carriers, who's likely to be involved in the EBS BRS? If it's not so T-Mobile, obviously, and then I say it's AT&T because they're going to be climbing towers and putting up all this gear anyways. And then I guess maybe Dish. I don't know. Verizon, Verizon is not touching EBS BRS if they didn't touch this 3.4. That's all I'm saying.
Because Sneed, the thing about Dish's configuration is that their panels that they have right now, the JMA can do from 600 megahertz all the way to 3.9.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe that.
So why not pick up some 2.5 and the radio can already handle. All they gotta do is just add devices to it.
They'd be trolling, bruh. That's just trolling.
Well, they got trolled, so why wouldn't they troll back? They're starting to talk with their wallet now. They're starting to talk.
I believe that this auction is like the most affordable mid-band. When we look back at the per megahertz pop, this one's going to be the bargain auction. The next one's going to draw more money, a little bit more per megahertz pop. And we know what C-band did. C-band went over $1. You know what I'm saying? I think it was like 90 some cents. And in the main markets, it was astronomical. It was crazy. EBS BRS won't do that. 3.1 won't do that.
How much do you think N41 will go for?
It depends. It depends how many megahertz in those specific places. You know, T-Mobile's they're ready to break the bank for that because they know what's at stake for them. They don't want their network disjointed anymore.
Hey Moose,
You know,
Yeah.
what do you see it? How much do you see it going per megahertz pop? I say I can see it going about 25.
25
I'm
cents.
thinking
No,
Yeah, per
I can see
megahertz
it going
pop.
like 20.
So the DoD spectrum that just auctioned, Verizon or excuse me, AT&T was like 77 cents per megahertz pop.
I see it at about $1.
What?
I think that T-Mobile is going to spend a ridiculous amount of money, man, to get that spectrum. So I'm thinking that they're going to be in debt probably anywhere between 15 to 25 billion just for that spectrum. No way, like no joke. I know people might disagree with me, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to spend almost as much as the entire merger with Sprint. It's that crazy.
The only reason that the Sprint transaction wasn't more expensive is because Sprint had over 30 billion in debt they had to take with them. Oh, let me get to the super chat from Big Rubes. Thanks, Big Rubes. Almost forgot you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Said, hello, SMT Nation, 70 degrees in Phoenix. That's very nice. In your opinion, who has the best network capacity to offer the best 5G right now? Carlos in my home state of Texas. Great content, amigos. All right, Texas, who's got the best 5G right now in the great state of Texas?
Well, bro, I can't answer that right now at the moment because we are not there anymore.
Oh, man. I would
But all
assume
I'm
that
gonna
the
say is
most
all I'm
capacity is
gonna say is
probably
on
going to
the
be T-Mobile, though.
all I'm gonna say is the 40 it was horrible for them, for the thongs. It was very bad.
Yeah, I mean it's
Very,
just
very
what they
bad.
have to need. It's what they need now. You know. Here's the thing. Another reason why I think T-Mobile has been what they did in this auction is because they know they might get screwed out of the 2.5 auction. Charlie might come and get them. That's
Man,
probably.
you guys know how bad that
Charlie,
is? Do you guys realize how awful that is?
Well, I mean, if
To
I
me,
was a
just
CEO,
watch,
that's what I'd be thinking.
bro,
I'm like, I would
bro.
bid and then, play my cards at the 2.5. We're lucky
Hey,
that
zero
this
cool.
auction came before the 2.5 auction.
yes,
Hey,
yes,
zero. Hey, zero cool.
That helps T-Mobile, dude.
We're gonna see Charlie, bro, here in Vegas, bro. He's gonna be gambling. He's gonna be winning that money, bro.
Exactly.
He's gonna go spit out those poker chips, bro. Out of nowhere, he's gonna win
He's got the ace of
$1 billion,
hearts.
bro.
Oh
That's
my
right, bro.
God.
He's gonna have the trick up his sleeve, bro.
And this is the huge so here's the thing. This auction 108 is huge. And it's huge for T-Mobile. And like I said, if anybody bids and gets, 40%, 50% or outbids T-Mobile, it's going to be a huge issue. Big problem. Big problem.
But that spectrum's gonna go expensive, Sneed.
Oh yeah,
Best believe it will hit over $1 a pop. It will, guaranteed.
it's going to be
Damn.
expensive. Dish is coming.
And Dish will come because at the end of the day, even if let's say Dish doesn't deploy it uh, on their end, they can make a deal with AT&T, and be like, hey, remember AT&T does have that band 12, that maybe Dish could use some of that, could they own some band 12 themselves or some band 29, that AT&T owns could be like, hey, you know what, we do got that 41. Let's do some swapping real quick, scratch our back, scratch yours, since they're so tight now.
I mean, you got to think about it. Dish is the fourth carrier. They're building this greenfield 5G network. Okay, they need spectrum. They're going to need that 2.5. They can put that immediately to 5G use. Why wouldn't they? If I was Charlie, that's what I would do. he's going to be smart for bidding in the auction if he chooses to.
Yeah, but it's not good.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
like the sound of it, man. I know Charlie's a SOB, but I
Well,
hope it doesn't.
that's the thing. He uses his SOB-ness in this auction. That's my point.
His SOB-ness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's basically the original Jeff Bezos before, owning studios and all that.
Yeah. But so Sneed, you're saying that Verizon doesn't even touch N41 at all?
What would be your process? How would you think? What would be your argument if they didn't get
Well,
involved in this auction because it doesn't fit their plan? How the hell does
this is the
2.5
thing.
fit their plan?
Okay, so think of this, Need. This is I kind of see Moose's objective in this because the equipment they have up already, the B77D panel from Ericsson, is the same panel for 2.5. The only thing that makes a difference is the software inside
Okay,
of it, the
okay.
programming. So
So
all they get,
where?
so like let's say an area near airports where they're having issues, or certain areas, that could kind of benefit them to have spectrum on air if you catch my drift. If they continue having issues with this FAA stuff later on, let's just say it does continue. But if it doesn't
Okay,
continue, I don't see them going.
okay. What version of EBS BRS for AT&T is better than what they just did with DoD?
I mean,
Same thing with Verizon.
yeah.
Verizon didn't touch DoD. That
Well,
if
I
you
mean,
follow
they they
that
technically did under
process,
the DBAs. Not much, but they did touch under the DBAs, bro. Everybody just because they didn't see Cellco, bidding, they think that the DBA. Here you go. Here's the proof right there, bro. Says it right here. Verizon and Clearstream are partners in the 4G network in Northwest North Carolina. That's the Carolina Wireless. Come on, bro. They got DBAs, bro. The people are not thinking all those DBAs that bid. Yes, they're rural licenses only, but they did bid some. It wasn't a lot. It was very, very tiny, but they still went in maybe in the areas where it would benefit, where they can deploy it faster or something or whatever. I don't know.
yeah, I'm looking. I don't know. For some reason, I can't highlight EM Tech's super chat, but big shout out to EM Tech. Thank you for that super chat, man. He said the big talking point around Verizon's 3.7 win was the contiguous block they secured. Does that still offer them an advantage over AT&T? I like contiguous blocks. Zero Cool's looking at it from the RF angle, saying the carrier aggregation setup gives them flexibility and added capacity and network configuration advantages from a tower handoff site to site scenario. So we've kind of looked at it like, I like the contiguous nature of it. I feel that offers them spectral efficiency. Zero Cool saying, well, it could work the other way as an advantage by being broken up and having all these different carriers working together. It improves the connectivity from site to site. So I don't know. I guess you could do it both ways. You know. So thanks, EM Tech. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, man, I don't want to see anybody getting 2.5. Hopefully T-Mobile's able to get it all. I hope the 3.1, whenever that auction gets going, I hope that accelerates. I hope that comes out sooner. I hope the DoD clears that in 2 years, and I hope we have it auctioned and assigned and live in under 3 years. Like
What about if
I don't want the carriers
Sneed?
to have to be like, "Yo, we need more mid-band." No, they should just be able to turn that shit on, bro.
When does that 2.2 become available?
2.2. The 2
Isn't
gigahertz?
2.2 gonna? Yeah.
I think they call that S band, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. So your S band is
Okay, so that's
2 to
like
4. Yeah,
I think that's
that's
used as satellite right now,
it,
one-way satellite.
yeah, that's going to be used to basically, from all I've been reading about, is your 2.2 is going to be used for applications and satellite uplink for low Earth orbit. Think, how Verizon had that, or now has the satellite partnership, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be using those frequencies at 2.2. I already sent those white papers on
Yo,
it. I sent
Zero
those white
Cool.
papers on a long time ago to you.
Zero Cool. There's a couple other things, I think. I think there's a 900 megahertz that's going to be available.
So
Yeah.
that's an ISM band. So okay, so the 900 megahertz is basically, remember when you guys had those cordless phones?
Yeah.
They operate at 900
Yeah. Yeah.
megahertz. That's all that is.
Okay, and then
That'd be great.
I think there's a one I don't know if it's a 1.3 or a 1.5. There's something out there.
I think it's 1.3, if memory serves me correctly.
There's something out there, and it's not much of it. But then there's also the L band, the legato. There's a little bit of spectrum there. They're talking about using that for uplink.
So when is Dish? So what? Dish still holds the.
Dish is all about the 12 gigahertz life. They're trying to figure out how they can leverage that through this merger, I think. That's the big thing there. Is it the 1.4 gigahertz? Maybe it is, Joshua. Maybe it is. I don't know. There's something in there. But yeah, the 12 gigahertz, that is going to be, there's tons of spectrum there, Zero Cool. It's like
Yes.
500, it's like 1200 megahertz. And I think, like, even if only part of it gets auctioned, it could be like 500 megahertz to go auction public.
I'm trying to remember what the heck the 6. I think the 6
What?
gigahertz. There's like 1,000 megahertz of it or something.
Let's just throw a little curveball in this conversation. What if Elon Musk Starlink did partner up with Dish?
Oh God, I don't know.
What
I
would
don't
you guys
know
think
if
about
Starlink
that?
and Dish are not friends.
Yeah, then I don't think that
Let's
would
throw a little
big.
curveball.
That wouldn't work. Charlie would.
Yeah, they're
How
not
wouldn't it,
friends, bro.
how wouldn't
Actually,
it work?
Charlie's trying to make some stuff happen, and Elon's like, nah, dude, I don't want that.
Yeah, they're just not friends.
But what it, bro? But nothing that a nice poker hand can make friends, bro.
Bro, but
Always make new
Elon doesn't
friends.
play cards, man.
Bro,
Ask
he would
Dennis,
he would
bro.
need his poker game on a yacht with boats and hoes for that to happen.
Well, yeah, you gotta. That's what I'm saying. Ask Dennis, bro. He knows. He's living the life right now.
Yeah, yeah. It would be a tough sell. It really would be. They would have to have like a Dan Hesse relationship or something.
Oh snap!
Bro, that would be
Cool,
crazy if
huh?
Hesse
I
just
got
popped
3
out
of
of
a
nowhere,
kind.
out of
Cool,
retirement.
huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god! By the way, Zero Cool, Roger Entner, friend of the show, absolutely adores Dan Hesse. Respects the guy, man, through the wazoo. Like,
I do
Bro,
too.
Hesse was a
yeah.
G, bro. He's like that
Yeah,
old traditional pimp.
I loved working for him for a short time, but so.
I got a follow from John Saw a couple of weeks ago. Zero Cool.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter,
Does
man.
that
It's
make you
kind of
feel?
cool.
Does that make you feel good inside?
John Saw, man. Yeah, he seems like a nice man. I mean, he seems
The
humble.
He
sellout.
is, yeah.
He seems very smart. He seems like a bright person. So that was kind of cool. Highlight of my day. Oh, and then FCC FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr's legal advisor followed me on Twitter. I don't know if that's good or bad, dog.
Oh no!
Oh God.
Oh my God! Should we?
I just want to say that Brendan Carr is my favorite commissioner. I just want to throw that out there.
Should we stop the stream now? I mean, what do we need to do? Do we hire a lawyer? I mean,
Bro, but like real talk, like I look at the FCC different today than I used to. Like now I kind of look at them as we can actually do some things because like Ajit Pai has to go down as one of the worst US regulators of all
Worse
time.
than Warren?
Worst.
Or sorry, not Warren.
Oh,
Wheeler.
Wheeler. Yeah.
Wheeler.
I think
Yeah.
Wheeler was the worst.
Yeah,
Wheeler.
but Ajit Pai's like right there. Because the only thing I could say Ajit Pai that the only thing he did that was good was the C-band auction. Like I can't really say anything
That
else
and
was good.
What about the merger?
that and the regulations. He actually were it stopped like HOAs and all that stuff from interfering.
Yeah.
That was another thing.
What about the merger?
Yep, true.
Yeah, but I don't know how much they really had to do with the merger. The DOJ had more of a muscle, into the merger. So
Ajit Pai was for the merger from the start.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe that version of the FCC isn't as bad as I thought. But like they were so bad for so long. Like I think the spectrum problem is where they lose
Yeah,
me. Like I wanted C-band auctioned in like 2018. I wanted CBRS auction in 2015. Like I wanted all that stuff on air
Yeah.
in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think I was watching the news today. I think and they said that the U.S. is the most politically challenged environment. I think that's true. I think it ruins things, especially for auctions like that. Um, but I mean, just I don't know. I think here's what I think. I think see most emergency services and most federal agencies they need. I would love for them to just move off of low band, right? Move off of the mid band frequency. Get them all on, millimeter wave.
The
There's enough spectrum
DoD,
there.
the
Who
DoD
gives?
is a problem.
Yeah,
The DoD is a serious problem. They have control of all of this really important midband,
they do. Yeah,
and they're not coming out of it fast enough. And really, honestly, the entire 3 gigahertz should be commercial. It should
yeah,
not be with the DoD. They can use anything else.
absolutely. Yeah, if I was the commissioner, I would just if the DoD looks to
Yeah,
spy
but
on us anyways.
you gotta work on that for years.
True. Yeah.
Like you weren't just gonna wake up one day in 2012, 13, 14, 15, and be like, "Okay, DoD, it's time to change." No, that should have been a work in progress,
Yeah.
and
I
then
would. I
we
would.
honestly, I'm telling you, dude, all this DoD stuff should have been sorted out pre-pandemic. Like we should have already had a clear-cut pathway because there's no reason why we should be trailing some of these other countries the way we do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of agencies, a lot of customers that use our airwaves. You can look it up on the FCC's website. That use a lot of low band, that use a lot of mid band. It's not just the carriers. You think about like EMS. You got fire. You got
Yeah.
the DoD. You got the FBI. You got the CIA. You got parks. You got buses, schools. You got everything under the sun, right? So, um, gosh, I don't know. I think uh, it would be nice if more of that mid-band spectrum was moved, and maybe Jessica can do it. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe she
but
can.
that's
Oh,
but that's but that's a but that's the thing though about when it comes to law enforcement, bro. They're not gonna sit here and go put all their stuff over IP, bro. It's too much of a risk of it being breached.
Security risk.
You
Yeah,
feel me, bro? Exactly. It's better for them to continue running on their own privatized network.
yeah. Everything is
And that's
all
what's always going to happen.
yeah. Everything is all on P25, and the phase two, and
Exactly.
it's. I don't know. I mean, I am thankful that we have that there, right? For them to use it, but um. I personally
Just
think
like
nothing's going to happen.
just like people, they think that when they shut off the 3G that's being shut off here next month and all that, they're only shutting it off for business and consumer. There's still going to be a small slice kept on for government DoD, DOJ. That's going to turn. They're going to encrypt it for like I think 3 or 4 years.
And just letting you guys know, the last state to shut off the CDMA and whatnot is going to be the state I used to serve, California. They're going to just, yeah, it's bad. It's just bad.
What is Ricky saying? Law enforcement will be using LTE very soon.
Mostly for data. So a lot of, like, for example, their MDC units and their police vehicles, some of their other data units that they have to use, like, they're actually trying to transition their I'll try to say this lightly here. So their body cameras, for example, the way that they record. So basically what's going to happen and what they're trying to do is, yes, Ricky's right. They are trying to convert that over to LTE and eventually over to 5G. So basically what's going to happen is, you know how the cops will record you on your body cam, right? Yes, they can review the footage later. But the problem is they don't always have time to say if they're in the police or in a situation to if they need help. So what the objective is, and I know this, basically, they're going to upgrade those MDC units into the laptops, right? So basically, one cop sitting at one street will be able to view another cop's body cam footage in case they're in an emergency situation or need help.
We got a big super chat here from Blind Tech. My dude Nimmer coming through. We got the super chat. It's so it looks like some kind of a super sticker, maybe. Let's see here. It says some kind of rocket thing riding a rocket. Very cool, man. And it's a generous super chat. Thank you so
It's a
much,
pair.
Nimmer. I appreciate it. It's a pair riding the rocket.
That's right. It's a pair, bro. The
Thanks,
famous
man.
pair.
Pair character riding a firework rocket disappearing away before bursting in the sky. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Nimmer. You're always so generous, and we appreciate your support. Thanks for all that you do, man. And if you guys could check out Blind Tech Adventures on YouTube, his YouTube channel there. He covers a lot of tech topics as well, similar to like what we cover here on the channel. I think as well as some more advanced applications, technologies, and features. So check him out. Subscribe to his channel. Watch some videos. Big shout out to Blind
Yeah,
Tech
bro.
Adventures.
He does some cool videos, bro. I'll be watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been putting them in my my community tab. So if you guys ever look in the community tab for the channel, you'll see me linking some of his live streams and discussions and highlight overviews of those features. Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about the situation that happened this week in regards to Dish? Like, I think we didn't even talk about that enough this week.
What?
Like, is it actually going to happen? I don't know. I really don't know if it actually is going to happen.
What's
Hey,
gonna happen?
I think Dish is gonna lose that spectrum. I really do, and I think they're gonna have to pay up that money, that 3.3 billion. Bro, the judges, like, you get a sense of like the tone and the feel of the room. Bro, like
Yeah.
the FCC, I think the FCC is in a position to win out on this, and this is going to hurt Dish. This is going to be a setback. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a setback. And, if you look at their current spectrum position with today's auction results, they were kind of looking pretty good. Losing 25 by 25, that hurts, I think, any carrier. I don't know who wouldn't feel a 25 by 25 AWS3 channel, right? I mean, that's value to their company. They're a holdings company, right?
Oh, we'll just have to, I guess, wait and see, right?
We'll see how it plays out, Los, but I don't like I don't like his chances. I think this is going to hurt bad.
Do you think that
if they do that, then
See, here's the
probably
thing,
will
Los.
lose the
I don't
competitive.
care. I don't care either way because he has to deploy it on his own, or if he loses it and it gets auctioned, the other carriers are going to deploy it live immediately. I mean, Moose, what? AT&T would go live immediately with it.
it'd go immediately? Yeah.
And then Verizon can go live immediately with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm guessing that T-Mobile could too, but I think they probably wouldn't win any if it was auctioned. I think it's more of a Verizon AT&T joint.
What else happened this week? I know that there was several other things.
Freaking Netflix went up today.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. Oh my gosh.
Freaking Netflix goes up every 2 years. Every year.
It went up during the pandemic, man. During the 2020 pandemic. You know?
Is Netflix even good anymore?
There's a couple shows.
Is HBO better?
It depends. It really depends.
I mean, I could go without Netflix. Yasmin, she watches like Thundermans and Haunted Hathaways and like all those cartoons. Like, and remember Moose Boss Baby? She was watching that.
Oh my god.
She
Yeah.
watches the funniest things on there, and I'll watch with her and stuff. But honestly, I kind of like HBO.
Do you think it's because of your age?
Maybe.
Like demographics, right?
Yeah. I'm a 90s kid.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
like, all those shows are on there. Like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's true. I like Disney Plus.
Well,
I think
Marvel,
Disney Plus has one hell of a catalog, bro.
Marvel, Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah.
the Boba
Okay,
Fett
Moose.
situation.
What do you think of Boba Fett?
Oh, dude, it's such an amazing story. A lot
Isn't
of
it
people,
good?
for some reason, a lot of people are kind of confused on what's going on, and I said, no. This is like exactly what I've been wanting. I wanted to know how the hell he got back onto the like how he got out of the Sarlacc pit and all this other stuff, But no, like the situation with whatever Disney Plus is doing, it's good. The problem that I see is eventually they will have to increase pricing. And we've talked about this, remember? They will be increasing pricing at a certain point in time. They have to.
Well, Disney Plus went up once.
Right.
Okay, Netflix has gone up essentially like every year for the last 3 years. Yo, Zero Cool, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, Zero Cool knows I love mmWave. That's messed up, man.
I know, man. I got you, bro.
Thanks, Zero Cool. Appreciate the super chat, man. He gave us the $100 super chat. All right, new hashtag. To hell with it. Hashtag Sneed loves midband.
Yeah.
He loves the
So
mid.
can we get like one of those football jerseys and it could just say like on the back it could say midband man or something? Mr.
Oh,
Midband.
absolutely.
Thanks, Zero. Cool. Appreciate it, man.
You're welcome, bro.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, I've come along and I've learned to appreciate the frequencies. All right. I really do. But I still think AWS was more important than PCS. I still say that.
Yeah, force for capacity. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Put them two together. It's like the old saying: it takes two to tango. Well, in this game, it takes more than two to tango.
Yeah, but you remember what my justification as to why I said AWS greater than PCS?
Because of more spectrum or capacity or
Well,
bandwidth.
it was the timing. Like at the
Oh, the
time,
timing. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
we went
True.
from like
Definitely needed. Yeah.
we went from like not everybody having a smartphone to like everybody having a smartphone. So networks were starting to slow down again. So when we got AWS and like Verizon did the XLTE thing here with AWS, like it
Right.
was our speeds went from like 2 to 3 megabits to like 30, 40.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's. I mean, if you think about it, take a look at your multi-band AWS PCS antenna, or sorry, your dual band, I should say. AWS PCS antenna. It's a lot better carrier ag now than what it was separately.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm excited for a couple things, right? So there's going to be a day very soon that one antenna will be able to do the entire 3 gigahertz frequency. But there will also be a day where one antenna will be able to do all sub-6. That I know is coming. One antenna, all sub-6. That is going to be amazing, man.
Hey, Sneed.
What up, Lowe's?
The update just came out for the Pixel, bro. I'm updating it right now.
Okay,
for
so what
C-band?
happens now? So what happens? Can I start using my phone like I normally would?
Yeah, update the phone.
Oh,
I told you earlier today.
Can I start using it like a normal phone, like making calls and live streaming?
I doubt. I doubt live streaming, but everything else, yeah.
Okay, now you guys are just picking on me. Thanks a lot, Sebi. Thanks for the super chat. He said
Yeah.
hashtag Sneed loves midband. Now you guys just put it on thick.
Yeah, I mean the thing about AWS versus PCS, your AWS, it does run at a couple of things. It does run at higher power. It's more capacitive, and with AWS, you don't have to deal with like we call border sites, boarding issues. That's like next to like AM radio stations or a ham radio or something like that. PCS has all those issues, but PCS you will have a little bit further range, depending
Yo, Zero
on
Cool. It's
power.
so minimal.
Yeah.
It's like if I check, like, say for example Verizon in my house, if it's PCS it's like minus 91. If
It is
it's
minimal.
AWS it's like minus 93.
Yeah, but I mean, keep in mind, like, carrier aggregation standpoint, it does work pretty good. Think about how much, uh, you know, T-Mobile is going to have about 30 megahertz nationwide of PCS, so that'll help out. Especially once you carry that with their AWS, that'll be really good for you. So,
Okay, hold on a second. I am not turning my back on millimeter wave. I freaking adore millimeter wave. All right. So pump the brakes. All right. I love millimeter wave.
Yep.
What? She's the millimeter wave lady. God, I wonder what that makes me. The low band guy. Yeah, right.
That's Ricky. RFK is low band.
Oh, is it? Oh shit.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. But basic. I don't know.
Oh,
I
snap,
want
we
to. I
got
want to
Big
kind of
Lou in
get
the house.
your. I guess after you do this update, let me know how the millimeter wave works on that XNOS 5123 modem.
Oh
There-
snap! I
Bro,
can go test it right now. Should I go?
Yeah, shit.
bro.
Might as well. Yeah,
Dude, I'm only like 10 minutes from the nearest sites.
that's fine. I'm kind
Yeah.
of
Did you already
curious to see
update
if it
though? Did you already
improves.
update?
I just updated it. Just restarted.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I guess I go for it.
So keep in mind, we should also mention this because I think a lot of people got lost in the sauce in the translation. This update for the Pixel does enable N77 for all carriers with this Pixel.
Oh man.
Yep.
Now I can go
Oh,
test it. Now
yeah.
I can go looking around, snooping around.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Mike West. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said hashtag Sneed loves midband. Man, you guys are gonna just put it on super thick tonight.
Oh, I love it. Hey, C-band's your mid-band.
Yeah, it sure is. I was actually having a conversation with RFK earlier. I was telling him that at some point we start looking at midband differently. We're gonna start looking like when we start getting into millimeter wave, like really hitting stride and getting dense. At that point, mid band's going to start being looked at like low band.
Well, so what we're doing right now, what the carriers are doing right now, is we're transitioning for the calling to be on mid-band frequencies. Now, why is this? Is because we have SA and also voice over NR coming up in 2023. Okay. So basically, you need mid-band for that to happen. You can't do it's going to be, if you try to do that over low band, it's gonna fail. So your voice over NR is very high bandwidth. All right, and you need that over mid-band frequencies. That's why we're transitioning the calling over there.
What type of capacity threshold do you like to see for voice over NR?
Honestly, dude, as much as I can get.
So like 100 plus megabits?
You mean you
Like
don't
when you're
mean
thinking about
bandwidth,
like speed. Yeah, when you
speed
think
wise.
like what's going to be your safe
Yeah, so
your safe
Vivian is
one?
right. Yeah, it's the goal is lossless, right? For your codecs, for your, you don't want any one-way audio issues. You don't want, any broken, garbly language, or, or especially when you do handoffs, right? From going from site to site. Hmm. I would say are probably around, I would say, that's kind of hard to say, but I'm just gonna take a big guess because we're not there yet. So I would probably say about 25 to 50 megabytes.
Hey, thanks for the super chat, EM Tech. Said Sneed the real hashtag Minman Man once the pixel updates. It's updated, dog. I guess I could go test now. Josh says FaceTime audio greater than voice over NR. I don't know, man. We'll
There's
have to
no
see.
real voiceover on our right now. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
coming in 2023.
try telling that to certain individuals that keep thinking that there is because their Samsung phone picks it up only.
Isn't it true that the Pixel doesn't work?
No, it doesn't work.
Nope,
So
because
what
that's how
is the
you know, bro.
Galaxy firmware doing that the Pixel doesn't?
It's getting ready for, because basically the voice of our NR is going to be first launched on Galaxy devices. That's what we're testing it on, right? So I think you need about for 1080p is about 25 meg. You need at least equivalent to that. I would say about 25 to 50 megabytes per call.
Yeah, yeah. And then here's another thing with voice over NR with audio getting really clear and really like awesome, you can actually start upgrading the microphone hardware on devices.
And Bluetooth, yep.
Yeah, you could start innovating like new stuff that we haven't innovated in the last 10 years because Volti was whatever,
You know what? I want a synthesizer on mine. I'm going to sound like Donald Trump for voiceover NR. Melania and AK. Oh God. Yeah. Right.
Well, I'm thinking about it like people can start recording their like professional podcasts and stuff through their devices. Like it could be legit,
hmm
like high quality,
Yeah,
you
the
know?
bit rate's really good.
Yeah.
CD quality, so or better than that actually. But yeah, that's the goal.
Interesting. Bird says, what do you call band 66? I have dropped calls on band 66. Hey, man, I have band 66 on every carrier here, and I don't have any trouble on band 66 whatsoever. It's my phones are always connected to band 66. Indoors, outdoors, it's great. I don't get any dropped calls. The only carrier that drops calls is at my house is T-Mobile, and that's on 600 megahertz. And then it moves to LTE, and then it sucks because it connects to this old Sprint site. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why you're having problems with it, but I mean it's really good. In my experience, it's great here. Most of the heavy lifting on LTE is on band 66, band 2, band 13, band 12, band 5. We got that here too. Big Term says I got issues with band 66. it's 5 megahertz trash. Which carrier has 5 megahertz of band 66? Sheesh, dude. I think Verizon's 20 megahertz here, AT&T's 20, and I think T-Mobile has 20
I
also.
think in Raleigh, North Carolina, for NR, there was a 5x5 of N66.
You know who could, like, T-Mobile can do that because they got all that PCS anyways. So they don't have to feel compelled to withhold any of that capacity. T-Mobile has mystery call drops, audio cutouts. It's not the Spectrum. I think it's something with their VoLTE implementation. Yeah, because I have problems whenever I talk to my brother when he calls me from his T-Mobile line. We have trouble with
Yes,
connections.
Ricky, there is 5 megahertz of 66. Actually, T-Mobile does NR here in 66, 5 megahertz, 5x5.
AT&T's got 5 megahertz of band 66. Wow. So where's the rest of it? That's all they have? Wow.
No. It's LTE and it's NR. Remember, it's 5x5 in LTE and 5x5 in, or actually, it probably is 10x10 and 66 in some places. And then 5.
Yo, Verizon
Some are 5x10.
Verizon just moved 5 megahertz of PCS over to LTE from 3G over here.
Oh, I forgot, Sneed. We forgot to mention January 20th. If you're on a prepaid carrier of AT&T, you will be dropped if you do not have a voice over LTE.
You gotta get out of those freaking
I'm
HSPA
telling you,
phones, you know?
Not even
Jeez.
not even the HSPA phones. AT&T, they're real picky about those China phones too. Those
Yeah.
Huawei's, those Xiaomi's, all that
Yeah,
bull
bro.
crap.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
Get
None of
Motorola.
those.
Bro, why do people do this to themselves? Seriously. Yo, Los, you remember when you were selling the hotspots and people were trying to connect those like old hotspots, bro, the old modems?
Yep.
You
And
know,
then they're trying to say that my service sucked, bros. Your trash hardware.
you know what it boils
Just
down to? It's those are cheap people buying cheap crap from eBay.
and then they tell me, oh, why is the phone service so slow? Oh, what phone are you using? A Motorola Ace One 5G. Or I'm like, well, that's not a compatible one. That's not the. Or I'm using an S. One of them was good. It was an S10 Plus International. I'm like, well, that is not supported
Bro,
on
that
the
thing's got an
as a
Exynos
phone.
modem. It's not even Qualcomm.
It's not supported by AT&T. Sorry, buddy, I can't help you there. Oh, but it connects. I never had problems before. Well, I don't know how you never had problems before. That's not my issue. I got tired of all that, man.
All right, boys. We've been on here for 2.5 hours. Anything for the good of the order.
There's only one thing to say, and I'm pulling it up right now. Today was a day of reckoning.
Yeah.
I tell you, people don't get it, Sneed. I don't know why, man. These shills, these thongs, they don't get it, man. They're trolling, bro. They're trolling in the subreddits. It's bad, bro. It's very toxic right now.
Why are they upset? What are they mad about?
They're upset because they're like, oh, this stuff is BS, blah blah, and they're like, N41 is the beast. It's already up and running, and I just start laughing.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't discredit what's going on with these things too. I mean, you know that if you're a T-Mobile customer, you got to be thrilled that the other carriers are getting faster. That's only going to encourage T-Mobile to do more to keep your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's only going to make them have to compete in densification and capacity. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation.
But it doesn't matter about that. It's about how deep the
Well,
thong can go.
oh man, the thong will ride, bro. The thong will ride. Hey, all right. Now Don's getting in on this whole hashtag Sneed loves midband. Caleb, seriously, like this is what you did, dog. You know, this one's on you.
Bro, why
Just trying to
why
make
does
you
this
love it. That's all.
why does this piece of trash Pixel take so long to do a security update?
All
It's
right,
already been downloaded. It's installing.
before Carlos starts throwing the Pixel at the wall, hashtag 2LiveCrew, hashtag replay crew if you watch this on DVR, hashtag Mod Squad for all my blue names out there, the blue mods, hashtag Ravioli Gang if you were snacking or eating dinner while listening to the podcast. Big shout out to Tyrone from Tech Life. He came through tonight. Carlos S. Tech here with us. Zero Cool here with us as usual. The Moose was here. It was a good time. Thanks to everybody for their super chats. Zero Cool, thank you, man. Thanks to Nimmer, EM Tech. There were a few other ones. I don't know if it's going to let me go back and look at them now. It's saying like it's hiding certain messages because they go too far back. So everybody that, Mike West, all you guys, thank you. Thanks for the super chats, the donos, the support. If you could, please like this video, share it to Twitter, share it to the Reddit, except you don't have to share it to the T-Mobile subreddit. That's not necessary. You can share anywhere else, friends, family, that helps out the channel a lot. So do that for me. That'd be great. Comment anything you guys want to discuss if you're watching this on replay, obviously. And yeah, that's it. You guys are the best. Big day in wireless. More news coming. I got some videos dropping over the weekend, and I'm going to be doing some millimeter wave testing on the Pixel 6 Pro because you guys said that there's an update. So let's go do it. All right.
Yep.
I'll
Let
go
me know,
and,
man. Let me know.
I'm going to do some filming tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see who I'll test. I'll probably test all the carriers. We'll see how they do. Twitter Spaces. All right, man. I'll launch one, but you got to run it, Baby Yoda, because I'm freaking tired, dog. So you're going to be running the Spaces. All right. Don't go backing out on me, dog. Oh God! Now Mike West is starting a new one. Hashtag Sneed loves T-Mobile subreddit. Oh my God!
Oh my.
Oh no!
See, this is why our people don't have anything, bro. We don't know how to go into live chats and act properly. All right. Oh, and yeah, that Twitter Spaces. Let's go over there. Thanks, guys. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Deuces.